You're listening to international investment advisor Doug Goldstein on the Goldstein on Gelt show, the financial show where we'll talk about how you can make the most of your money. With all the confusing financial chatter bombarding you each and every day, Goldstein on Gelt will give you the practical information you want and need about living a financially stable life. Here's your host, money maven Doug Goldstein.
Okay, we are back. My guest this evening is Sherrie Miller, who is a licensed and experienced dating coach, marriage counselor, group leader, matchmaker, and Judaic studies teacher. Sherrie is dedicated to promoting and enhancing emotional and spiritual intelligence within the Jewish home. Her organization, Choice of the Heart, is running an educational evening with the experts on June 22nd. The title of that program is called Marriage Meltdown, the Power of Finance and Physical Intimacy in Marriage. That's at 7:30 at night at Beit Avichai, which is King George 44. And one of the reasons that I'm so familiar with the details of the evening is that, in fact, I will be one of the speakers then. So I'm certainly hoping to see everyone at the Choice of the Heart evening on the 22nd. And I would like to welcome Sherrie Miller to the show. Sherrie.
Thank you, Doug.
Listen, the first thing I wanted to open up with is just to find out, what is Choice of the Heart? When did it begin? What inspired you to found the organization?
Well, Choice of the Heart is an organization that was founded by myself and Lori Lurie after the work that we had done over the years. Lori is a family therapist and me as an educational guidance counselor in the Israeli school system. And we noted the great number of couples who were struggling, who were unfortunately dissolving marriages early on, and many children who were broken from the strife going on in the home and mislabeled as learning disabled, when in fact they were really just sad and unable to really focus on their learning. And of course we were backed up by devastating statistics about the divorce rate in our own community. We're not talking about the world out there, which is at 50%. The latest figure in Israel is about 38% divorce rate, which to us is huge. And we feel that there has to be a concerted effort and a real, effort based on research and on a solid program to prepare couples, to prepare them to give them the tools and train them in the skills that are necessary for them to be able to create a loving and a lasting marriage.
Mm-hmm. In one sentence, the core of the organization, or the core goal of the organization?
Well, the core is training and teaching couples essential skills. Emotional intelligence is what it's known as. And a step further is ultimately making this type of preparation, this type of course, mandatory. Just like nobody is allowed to drive a car without having a written test, an oral test, a visual test, how much more complicated is it to be married than that? And yet it's so easy to get a marriage license. Unfortunately, at current rate, it's difficult to sustain the marriage, and we want to turn that around.
So at what point should people get this sort of training in their life?
Well, we advise that the engaged period and the second year period are the times that it is critical and crucial, and research has backed this up. When we begin marriage, we set down patterns of behavior, and it has been shown that couples who have not undergone this type of preparation and somehow fall into unhealthy patterns, and it's all subconscious. You know, we bring a lot of our family of origin stuff and all our baggage, and once we get off on that wrong track, we lose momentum, and within a year or two, things are really miserable, and we're seeing divorces as early as that, and most often people wait till 5 years they go into therapy. And 75% of those people end up divorcing because the pain and the wounds already have been so deep that it's very hard to repair. So even if I could bring up that we integrate into our program, we integrate Torah wisdom because it's just so valuable. And we see that it was Hashem's plan. God told the people that even a man who's supposed to be going to a war, if he's married, it's his first year of marriage, he is exempt. He is mandatory. It's mandatory for him to stay home. It says v'simach et ishto. He should learn how to make his wife happy. He should learn, and they should learn as a couple, how to get along, to get to know what makes them tick and what ticks them off. These are things that are created from the get-go, right from the beginning.
Do you think that for a lot of people, this sort of training is something that it's very hard just to get, a few months before you get married, and if you're not really brought up with it, communication, I think what you're describing here, is such a huge way of life that just saying, well, we'll give you a course and it'll be all better. Is that a little too optimistic?
Well, what we're doing is we're creating a workshop that's 6 sessions, 2 hours each, and we cover 10 topics. Obviously, communication is the number one topic because that's what relates to every other topic, like finances and like role relationships. You can't discuss, don't have a common language, you can't discuss anything. And so what we do is we talk about the fact, we bring in the gender differences, John Gray spoke a lot about how men, relate information just to give over the information, while women want to relate to each other. They're more, they want to get to know each other better. So in other words, couples can understand that my husband is not doing this purposely, or he's not just ignoring me, or he's just not, quote, he's not an emotional person, as men get that stereotype. But our brains work differently, and once we understand that, then we can start to really work together and apply this information. This workshop is very interactive. The workshop starts with a quiz. Let's say we're starting with communication, they get a quiz on communication, and they each answer it separately, and then they compare, and they say, hey, wait, you said, let's say, that you think that your communication is good and that you understand me. Well, as the female partner here, I don't feel that. I don't feel that you really, really understand. And so they talk about this and they understand where their strengths are, their strengths in the relationship, and they understand where it is, what are the issues that they need to work on. And then we go into the skills building. We give them, we have a section of teaching skills, of communication, healthy skills. And then the couple goes into a separate part of the room and they work on it. They have an exercise and they get an experience at how to implement this new skill that they learned. And then there's some sharing, and inevitably couples feel quite good about the fact that they hear that they're all in the same boat. It's not like, oh, look at us, we're the only ones that have this issue where, let's say the woman is a little more expressive and the man not. They see that this is universal stuff. And we summarize with suggestions and questions and anything that people want to share, as long as it's not in the realm of therapy. This is strictly educational. We don't deal with therapy. Anyone who has a more serious problem, we suggest they see someone else. We refer them to someone else, but this is pure prevention. We want couples to have basic tools of relating to one another, learning a little bit more about who they are as an individual, being able to share that as a couple, who they are as a couple, what they want, how they want to grow as a couple, and as a family. So these are all things that need planning, that need forethought, and not to just wake up one day and say, hey, we're married 20 years, and look at this, we haven't accomplished much. What did we want to do here? I mean, they sit and they write. What do I want to, my anniversary party to look like on my 25th wedding anniversary? Like, what are the things that people will note and say about our relationship, how we've led, become leaders in our community, or whatever it is they want it to be. These are things that need forethought.
I see. We are talking with Sherrie Miller, who is the founder of Choice of the Heart, and is running an educational evening with the experts on June 22nd called Marriage Meltdown, the Power of Finance and Physical Intimacy in Marriage. Since this is a finance show and not a sex show, let's just talk for a minute about why why you feel that talking about money in this evening is going to be so important to the success of marital relations, and we've got about another minute.
Well, we feel from our experience that premarital couples typically do not talk about their financial situation. It's something that's very, swept under the rug. And then after they get married, they start fighting about it. Let's say the wife wants to spend money on a vacation, and the husband decides that he needs a piece of equipment for his business. And their values could be a little bit different. What one thinks is important, what the other thinks is important. It comes from the home of things, values that need to be clarified, and these things need to be discussed at the beginning of the marriage, because then you have a better chance of getting off to a good start. And there are many things that apply to finances. What people consider money, like what money means to them. And these things are important to delve into because it will reflect in the way people spend, and they can start to learn more about each other, whether they're a spending type, whether they're a saving type. These things all can potentially create a lot of conflict, and the power involved in being control of the money, and how to try to help couples learn to balance and make sure that most of what they decide financially is a joint effort, at least joint, whereas the research shows that women who are involved in the money decisions, there's a much higher rate of success in terms of their financial satisfaction. I guess men are bigger risk takers. There's a lot to say about it, but clearly they need to discuss in advance what their goals are, their financial goals, short-term, long-term, how they view money. Money is a means to security. It's a means to power, all kinds of things, and they really need to explore and talk to each other about it before things go awry.
Okay, listen, Sherrie Miller, I would like to thank you very, very much. I'm looking forward to seeing you and to speaking with you at the June 22nd conference.
We are excited to have you on our program.
Okay, so again, that program is going to be on June 22nd at 7:30 p.m. at Beit Avichai, and you can get more information at the website www.choiceoftheheart.org. Sherrie, thanks again for joining us.
Thanks, Doug, and good luck to us all.
Thanks. Take care.
All the best. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Goldstein on Gelt Show with money maven Doug Goldstein. Doug's weekly radio show is heard around the world, but if you miss it, you can download the podcast at www.goldsteinongelt.com. The Goldstein on Gelt Show gives you up-to-date financial ideas so you can get on the path to financial freedom. If you'd like your questions answered on the air or off, send Doug an email to doug@profile-financial.com. It's your money for your future, so join Doug every week to build your wealth on the Goldstein on Gelt Show.